Heartwarming surprise. I hid in my car for my son, but discovered an incredible truth next to him. Mike sat behind the steering wheel of his beat-up old car, heart pounding as he watched the bustling scene of students streaming out of the school. Today was supposed to be special. He had cleared his schedule, hidden his work boots under the passenger seat, and planned to surprise Jake with some encouragement after hearing unsettling rumors of bullying. He rehearsed the words he wanted to say, how proud he was, how strong he knew his son could be. But then he spotted Jake surrounded by a group of kids, whispering and giggling in eerie delight. Panic set in and memories from his own childhood memory came crashing back. The hurt, the laughter, the overwhelming feeling of inadequacy, the heavy shroud of responsibility hung over him like a dark cloud. Since losing his wife, he had devoted himself to providing for Jake, working long hours at the factory, dreaming of giving him everything he never had. But now, sitting helplessly, he felt the weight of that dream pressing down on him like a ton of bricks. They were supposed to be a team, and yet here he was hiding behind the glass, wrestling with his own fears and insecurities. As he clenched the steering wheel, he couldn't help but consider his options. Should he intervene? Should he confront the kids? But the moment felt wrong, tinged with an uncertainty he couldn't shake. Then, from the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of Jake's face, tense but determined. Mike leaned closer, peering through the windshield, barely breathing. Suddenly he heard Jake's voice ring out, not in anger but with an unexpected calmness. "You shouldn't treat anyone like that. It's not right." A swell of pride mixed with disbelief flooded through Mike, sending shivers down his spine. His son was standing up for a classmate being bullied right next to him. He was doing it. The bravery, the courage, it radiated from Jake like a beacon of hope. In that moment, Mike realized his son had inherited more than just his appearance. He had taken on values of strength and integrity. Before he could bask in this revelation, the dissonance of the situation sank back in. The world around them was still filled with prejudice and inequality. Yes, Mike had always believed in the American dream, working hard to provide better for Jake. But watching this unfold made him question everything. Was he enough? Would his sacrifices truly help Jake find his way in a world that felt so cruel? Just as he prepared to step out, his heart racing, he had a moment of clarity. Perhaps what Jake needed was not his protection but his trust. Could he let go of the fear and allow his son to pave his path? The tension hung thick in the air, a father caught between instinct and the undeniable urge to support his son, standing firm against the chaos of those memories that haunted his own childhood. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The groups of kids surrounding Jake turned their attention towards him, a wave of uncertainty sweeping across their faces as they processed Jake's words. At that very moment, Mike's heart raced with conflicting emotions. He was proud of his son's bravery but not by fear for Jake's safety. Would he choose to step forward, risking taking away Jake's power to be his own person? Or should he stay in his car, an unacknowledged but supportive presence, and witness his son take the lead? The weight of the decision pinched his chest, compelling him to act, yet he couldn't shake the urge to let this play out. What would he decide? What kind of future lay ahead for Jake in this harsh world? The silence felt deafening as Jake's calm voice hung in the air. For a moment time stood still. The kids around him shifted awkwardly, their laughter fading as they processed the unexpected confrontation. Mike's heart thumped loudly against his ribs. He could practically feel the tension radiating from the scene like heat from a summer pavement. A boy with tousled hair whispered something to his friend, and she snickered, rolling her eyes. But Jake stood his ground, his body language reflecting defiance. Mike blinked back the tears that threatened to spill, torn between wanting to protect Jake and admiring his bravery. In that instant, he remembered another time when he had to be brave, standing up for his wife during her fight with illness. How he wished she could see this moment, could see the son they had raised together. "Who do you think you are?" One of the girls shot back, her voice dripping with disdain. There it was, the pushback Mike feared. The moment everything could fall apart. Mike's breath caught in his throat. Would they turn on Jake? Would he regret standing up for that classmate? But Jake didn't falter. I'm Jake, and it's not okay to bully. You wouldn't like it if someone treated you that way. His voice echoed with a strength Mike had never fully acknowledged in his son before. The air seemed to crackle with electricity around Jake, as if he had conjured something powerful from deep within. Suddenly, Mike's instinct to leap from the car surged again, but he gripped the steering wheel tight. This was a moment he had to let Jake own to forge his path. He inhaled deeply, steadying his resolve. Then something remarkable happened. Another kid, a boy Mike recognized as a quieter member of the group, stepped forward. Yeah, I agree. It's lame to be mean. The ripple effect was immediate. A couple of others shrugged. Some murmured in agreement. Mike's chest swelled as a tinge of hope sparked amidst the storm. Turning his gaze to the group, Mike caught sight of a big kid who had been lurking at the back. He noticed the flicker of confusion on the boy's face. It was clear that he was weighing his options, a choice between conformity and an unexpected desire to do the right thing. Jake took a step closer, his eyes locking onto this boy, who seemed desperate for connection. You don't have to do what they say. You can walk away. A moment passed, thick with acknowledgement. The big kid hesitated, his brow furrowing. Mike leaned forward, heart racing in the quiet inquisition. Would this group finally break? Would they learn something today? Suddenly the bell rang, breaking the standoff. The students scattered like leaves in the wind, uncertain of what just transpired. Jake stood still for a heartbeat longer, and Mike could see the hesitation in his son's demeanor. Did he feel victorious? Or was there a sense of loss in watching other kids run away? As Jake walked toward the car, Mike's heart swelled with pride but also a trace of worry. What would this mean for him tomorrow? He felt a mix of relief and anxiety as he opened the passenger door for Jake, who climbed in silently. You were amazing, buddy, Mike said, glancing at Jake's eyes, searching for reassurance. Jake just nodded, a small smile breaking across his face, but Mike could see the shadows lingering behind those bright eyes. It wasn't over yet. The battle against bullying and the weight of expectations still weighed heavily on his son's young shoulders. What happens now, Dad? Jake asked, the weight of the world creeping back into his voice. What would Mike say? Could he give Jake the guidance he needed while still navigating his own fears? A moment of silence lingered as he considered the delicate balance between trust, safety, and support. Just then, as they drove off, Mike caught a glimpse of the big kid standing at the edge of the parking lot, looking after them, uncertainty written all over his face. Was there a glimmer of hope in that boy's posture? Would tomorrow bring change? Or would it all return to normal? Let us talk about it at dinner, Mike finally replied, feeling the strength of uncharted territories closing in on them both. The conversation ahead was going to be vital. As they pulled away from the school, a question loomed large in the air. Would Jake find his way against adversity, not just in the hallways of school, but in all walks of life? Jake sat quietly in the passenger seat, staring out the window, lost in thought. Mike's hands clenched the steering wheel while he drove through familiar streets. His mind raced with questions. What would tomorrow bring for Jake? Would his son face backlash for standing up? As they pulled into their driveway, Mike turned off the engine and glanced at Jake. The boy's expression was a mix of pride and uncertainty. You okay, buddy? He asked gently. Yeah, it feels like I did something important, but now I'm scared, Jake replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Mike's heart ached. He remembered how fear had haunted him during his wife's illness, yet they had faced it together, refusing to back down. It's okay to be scared. It means you care, he said, trying to provide comfort. They entered the house and the familiar smells of dinner wafted in from the kitchen, where a pot bubbled quietly on the stove. But somehow the warmth of home felt distant. Jake slumped into a chair at the table, fiddling with a napkin as if it held all the answers. Sophie called me brave, he said suddenly, looking up with wide eyes. Do you think it's true? Every parent dreams of their child being brave. Mike took a breath, drawing from his well of memories. Bravery isn't about not being scared, Jake. It's about standing up despite your fear. You showed that today. I'm proud of you. Dinner began in the usual shuffle of passing plates, but the atmosphere was charged. Mike and Jake exchanged glances over steamed broccoli. Their unspoken connection was thick with understanding, but they were still two diverging paths on a winding road. "Dad, do you think anything is going to change?" Jake asked, his fork hovering over a piece of chicken. Mike could see him searching for hope even amid doubt. "I hope so," he replied honestly. "Sometimes it takes one person to make a difference. Maybe those kids will think twice now. And maybe you'll inspire others to be better too." "But what if they don't?" Jake's voice dipped low. "What if they just laugh at me more? Then we tackle it together." "You're not alone in this," Mike said firmly, wishing he could shield Jake from all the pain of growing up. As they finished eating, Mike noticed that Jake's shoulders relaxed a bit. The conversation had lightened the mood slightly, but he could tell the weight of the day still lingered over both of them. Later that night, after Jake was tucked into bed, Mike sank into the couch with an overwhelming sense of unease. He thought back to the big kid at the parking lot. That boy held within him the power of choice, a chance for change. Was this all part of a bigger picture? Mike wondered if there was a way he could reach out to the parents of the other kids. The unmistakable urge to help was pushing him forward. The clock ticked in the background, and a surge of determination washed over him. Mike picked up his phone and began typing a message to the parents of the classmates. Felt right. Maybe if they all came together they could create a different environment for their kids. Just then, a soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Jake peeked around the corner, eyes wide and hopeful. "Dad, can we talk about what would happen if I tried to help that big kid tomorrow?" "Yes, we can," Mike said, grinning at the spark of discussion igniting once more. As they settled onto the couch, Mike felt that familiar blend of pride and fear. Maybe tomorrow would be filled with possibilities. What would they discover together in this shared journey? And as they prepared to dive deeper into that idea, a chilling phone notification jolted Mike from that moment of warmth. A message popped up from an unknown number. Was it about Jake? Was tomorrow really going to be tougher than he thought? Mike's heart raced as he stared at the screen. The message unfolded in front of him like a racing tide, and the words seemed to swell, demanding his attention. His grip tightened around the phone, every instinct telling him to analyze this moment. Yet he hesitated, caught between dread and curiosity. "Dad?" Jake's voice pulled him back to the present. He looked up to see his son hovering just inside the living room, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the lamp. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I just got a text," Mike replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "Let us talk about tomorrow, okay?" Jake stepped further into the room, the uncertainty still etched on his face. "Do you really think I can help that big kid? I mean, what if he doesn't want my help?" "Sometimes people surprise you," Mike said, trying to keep the conversation light. "You know, everyone has their struggles, some just hide them better than others." Jake nodded slowly, processing his father's words. As they spoke, Mike couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety about the message. He forced himself to focus on Jake, wishing to shield him from the complexity of adult worries. He wanted to be an unwavering support for his son, like a lighthouse amid the storm. Outside, darkness enveloped the neighborhood, and the occasional sound of laughter from nearby houses floated through the window. Children oblivious to the grown-up world, their innocent joy a stark contrast to the worry lacing Mike's heart. "Can I come with you, Dad?" Jake's question caught him off guard. "When you talk to the parents?" "Absolutely," Mike replied, surprised by the sense of hope in Jake's voice. "You're not just standing alone, you know? This is about all of us." Jake's face lit up. "Okay, I think it'll be cool to work together on this." Mike smiled at the spark igniting in his son's eyes. He savored that moment, feeling their shared purpose tethering them closer together. And who knows? You might be exactly what that big kid needs. Just as Jake's excitement filled the room, the phone buzzed again, pulling Mike's attention back to the notification. He glanced down, feeling a mixture of urgency and apprehension. He clicked it open, his heart pounding harder with each word he read. It was from the unknown number, suddenly real, suddenly personal. "Dad? What is it?" Jake asked, a furrow forming between his brows. Mike paused for a moment, debating what to say. The message didn't seem threatening, but it implied something he wasn't ready to digest. "It's about tomorrow. Maybe we should wait until the morning to talk about it," he replied carefully. "Okay, but let us definitely do it together, right?" Jake's earnestness was a balm to Mike's anxious heart. Definitely, Mike assured him, pulling Jake into a side hug. They stayed there for a moment, the weight of the world easing as they embraced, a silent pact forming between them. After Jake headed back to his room, Mike stared out the window. The neighborhood basked in a soft ethereal glow. But beneath that glow lay shadows of unknowns waiting to unfold. Would tomorrow bring the changes they hoped for? Or simply more challenges? He felt another pulse of anxiety, more potent than before. This time, however, it was tangled with anticipation. As he tossed the phone onto the couch, determined not to dwell on it, he sensed that tomorrow would mark a turning point, not just for Jake but for himself too. What awaited them in the daylight? Would the unknown message bring clarity or confusion? Mike's thoughts raced ahead, uncertain yet hopeful. Whatever lay ahead, he knew they would face it as a team. And perhaps, just perhaps, this would be the start of something transformative. But before he could resolve himself completely, the haunting buzz of his phone interrupted once again. This time he swiped the screen open with a heart full of trepidation. Could it truly be the breakthrough they needed? Mike took a breath before he read the words on the screen. The message felt like a stone thrown into still water, rippling through the night's calm. I need to talk to you about Jake, it read, signed only with an initial D. A sense of urgency gripped him, weighing down his thoughts. Who was D, and what could they possibly want to discuss about his son? The cozy glow of the room suddenly felt oppressive, pressing in on him. He set the phone down, his pulse thrumming in his ears. What if this was something serious? What if it was good? Or worse, what if it was bad? Jake was safe upstairs, but Mike couldn't shake the lingering sense of protectiveness. Clenching his fists, he processed the implications. Would tomorrow's meeting bring out secrets he wasn't ready to face? He decided to distract himself with the preparations for the meeting. He grabbed a pen and paper, jotting down notes for what he wanted to say, what he needed to ask. Every line he wrote felt pivotal, as if they could shape the future for both him and Jake. Dad? Jake's voice floated from the staircase, lightly pulling Mike from his spiral of worry. Yeah, buddy? Can you come check the math homework with me? Mike smiled despite the apprehension swirling inside him. Of course. Be right there. As he walked to Jake's room, he felt a flicker of gratitude. Here was his son, seeking guidance and reassurance. Jake was offering him a chance to shift from worry to purpose. They sat together at the desk, the glow of the lamp illuminating their faces. The simplicity of guiding Jake through math problems wrapped around Mike like a comforting blanket. It reminded him of why he needed to remain strong and present. Each correct answer flashed a moment of achievement between them, lifting Mike's spirits in ways he didn't expect. Thanks, Dad. I think I'm getting the hang of it, Jake said, his face bright with a mixture of pride and relief. See, I always knew you'd be a math whiz. As they completed the last problem, a comfortable silence enveloped them. Mike couldn't help but wonder how one day turned from anxiety about a message into this moment of connection with his son. Perhaps the unknown tomorrow didn't have to weigh so heavily on them. Sometimes a little confidence and teamwork could paint a brighter picture. Dad, do you think I can really help that kid? Jake's voice broke the quiet, his earlier enthusiasm replaced by uncertainty. More than you know, Mike said softly, fighting the urge to wrap his son in reassurance. Just be yourself. That will be enough. They shared a quiet moment, both drawing courage from each other. As the clock ticked nearer to bedtime, Mike found himself wondering about the message again. He tucked that worry away for the moment, focusing instead on Jake. The way his son could turn a simple math problem into a lesson in confidence was beautiful. But as comforting as their time felt, Mike's phone buzzed again, vibrant against the momentum of their evening together. He glanced down at the screen, reading the name registered there. Derek. Who was Derek? And why did he want to talk about Jake? Mike's heart dropped. He'd have to confront whatever truth Derek's message held. And now, without Jake to buffer the surprise. What did this mean for tomorrow? Would Derek's intentions help build Jake's future? Or would they shatter the hope he felt for his son? With the weight of the unknown heavy in the air, Mike took a deep breath. Whatever the conversation led to, he knew he had to be ready. But was he prepared for whatever would unfold? The next morning dawned with a crisp clarity. Mike woke up before the sun fully broke over the horizon. The house was quiet, but inside him thoughts clashed like thunder. That message from Derek loomed large, a shadow over what should be a day of new beginnings. As he brewed coffee, he replayed the scenarios in his head. Just be yourself, he could hear Jake's sweet voice, a mantra he hoped his son would cling to today. But what if just being himself wasn't enough? What if Derek had unsettling news? Jake bounded into the kitchen, messy-haired and bright-eyed, ready to tackle the day. "Morning, Dad." He grabbed a bowl, his energy infectious. "Morning, champ," Mike replied, forcing a smile. They shared a quick breakfast, filled with light chatter that made the weight of the upcoming meeting feel lighter for a moment. "Are you excited about seeing Derek?" Jake asked, not knowing how the name echoed in Mike's mind like a siren call. "Sure, kiddo. I think he just wants to talk." Jake nodded, his enthusiasm unwavering, never noticing the tightness in his dad's smile. When the time came to leave, Mike's heart raced. The drive to the community center was punctuated by brief conversations about school and friends. Mike wondered if he could keep Jake's spirits high enough to drown out his own apprehensions. "Dad, do you think we can help him?" Jake asked again as they parked, worry creeping into his innocent tone again. "I know we can," Mike assured him, though the certainty in his voice felt shaky. Inside the center, they were guided to a small room that felt more daunting than it should. A table sat in the center with 2 chairs on either side, and across the room stood Derek, a tall figure with an easy smile that seemed to alleviate Mike's fears, if only slightly. "Hey, Mike." "Jake." Derek greeted them warmly, gesturing for them to sit. "Thanks for coming." "Of course," Mike replied, feeling Jake slip his hand into his. It was surprisingly grounding. Derek took a seat, nerves intertwining with casual confidence. "I wanted to talk about Jake and some of the things he has been doing at school." Jake's eyes widened. "Is it bad?" "No, not at all," Derek said, his smile broadening. "I've seen how hard you've been working. I think you're really making a difference." Mike relaxed a fraction, but still uncertainty lingered. "I'm also here to ask for your help. It's more about giving you an opportunity to shine with some other kids," Derek continued, shifting in his chair. "I'm thinking of starting a mentorship program for younger students, and I believe you would be a perfect fit." "Mentorship? Me?" Jake's face shifted from anxiety to disbelief. "Absolutely," Derek affirmed. "You have a unique perspective and a kind heart. I've watched you help others, and that's what this is all about." For a long moment, silence enveloped the room. Jake's expression morphed into a wary hope, as if he was standing on the edge of something monumental. "I don't know," he finally mumbled, uncertainty creeping back. "What if they don't like me?" "Jake," Mike interjected gently, "what would you tell a friend who was worried about the same thing?" Jake paused, then looked up, finding his father's gaze. "I tell them they are enough just the way they are." "Exactly," Mike encouraged. "You're more than enough." Derek nodded, clearly touched by the bond between them. "And the kids will be lucky to have you." As the conversation progressed, a wave of relief washed over Mike. There was more to this than meets the eye. Jake had a chance to step into a new role, to embrace leadership instead of fear. But just as hope began to blossom, Mike's phone buzzed in his pocket, pulling him back into tense reality. He glanced down at the screen and saw an unfamiliar number. Could it be another message from Dee? His heart raced again, the cold sweat returning. What if this was the real content Derek had been alluding to? "Dad?" Jake's voice cut through the haze, filled with concern. "Yeah, I'm here. Are you okay?" Mike nodded, but the kernel of anxiety already took root. He couldn't shake the sense that another layer of truth was about to unfold, a truth that could change everything. What more was going to come to light? Mike felt the heaviness of the moment, the urge to answer the call pulling at him like a magnet. He hesitated, his heart pounding, a battle raging within. Should he stay focused on Jake, on the newfound hope blooming in the room, or should he open the door to potential chaos? "Everything's fine, buddy," Mike said, his voice steadier than he felt, as he tucked the phone deeper into his pocket. He forced a smile for Jake's benefit, trying to match Derek's calming aura, but beneath the surface, tension twisted his stomach into knots. As Derek continued to discuss the mentorship program, Jake's initial worry melted away, replaced by a sparkling sense of adventure. "Can we start today?" he asked, eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and hope. Derek chuckled. "We'll need to plan it out first, but I definitely want you on board, Jake. You'll have plenty of time to get ready." "Okay. I can't wait." Jake beamed, His earlier hesitation forgotten, Mike couldn't help but smile back at his son's enthusiasm. Yet the buzz in his pocket remained a nagging distraction. Does this mean I can help new kids who are shy or scared? Jake asked, his voice holding a serious weight that drew Mike's attention back. Exactly, Derek exclaimed. You'll show them that it's okay to be themselves just like you learned. And who knows? You might find that you learn from them too. The room was alive with possibility, a magnetic energy poised to lift their spirits. Mike marveled at how quickly Jake transformed from uncertainty to leadership. But just as Mike leaned in to fully appreciate this breakthrough, his phone buzzed again. The screen lit up with a message preview. We need to talk about Jake. A chill ran through him. What could that possibly mean? Who was this unknown person, and why did they want to talk about his son? Dad. Jake's voice broke off his thoughts once more. You sure you're okay? I'm fine really, Mike answered a little too quickly. He tried to focus to beat back the unease. I just need a moment. Can we talk after? Jake asked, a frown shadowing his earlier joy. Of course, Mike replied, but uncertainty gnawed at him. He wasn't sure if he could keep these two worlds apart much longer. Looking at Derek, he noticed the shift on the man's face. Did Derek sense something was off? Mike quickly shook his head, dismissing the thought. This was about Jake, about their moment, not his own turmoil. Let us focus on what's ahead, Derek urged. I want you to take your time, Jake, explore what it means to help others. Okay, Jake chuckled, clearly eager to move forward. Mike couldn't help but admire the genuine enthusiasm filling the room, the warmth wrapping around them like a soft blanket. It felt like a new beginning. But even as they laughed and planned, Mike's heart felt heavy with secrets. He couldn't help but glance at his phone, wrestling with a deep-seated fear. What if Derek knew something he didn't? What if that knowledge could also shake Jake's newfound hope? Just as they were about to wrap up, Mike finally pulled out his phone. Sorry, I need to just... he whispered, but as he thumbed the screen, the door swung open. A woman stepped in, her expression a mixture of concern and curiosity. Mike? She asked, her voice soft yet urgent. I think we need to talk. At that moment, the ground beneath his feet felt like shifting sand. What could she possibly want to say? And how would it impact Jake? Mike's heart raced, a whirlwind of confusion and dread swirling inside him. The woman's presence felt like a spotlight, illuminating the shadows of doubt lingering at the back of his mind. He swallowed hard, searching for words, but they eluded him. Who are you? He managed finally, his voice barely above a whisper. The warmth of the room dimmed as Derek and Jake turned their eyes toward the newcomer, surprise etched across their faces. I'm Claire, she said, stepping forward with an outstretched hand. I work with some of the kids at Jake's school. I have some important information about him. Jake's excitement faded, replaced by a flicker of apprehension. Is something wrong? He asked, his voice timid. No. Claire rushed to reassure him. Not at all. It's actually quite the opposite. You're doing amazing things, Jake. She smiled softly, a comforting presence against the rising tension. I just think we need to talk about what's been happening. What are you talking about? Mike interjected, his instinct to protect flaring up. The protective dad in him surged forward, ready to shield Jake from any unwanted truths. Claire sensed the tension, taking a step back. I understand this is sudden, but it's important. Can we talk privately for just a moment? Mike looked at Jake, then at Derek, who offered a quick, reassuring nod. This was Jake's moment, but fear clawed at Mike's insides. Okay, he said hesitantly, but no secrets. If this has to do with Jake, he deserves to know. Claire nodded, her eyes earnest. Absolutely. I won't say anything that he shouldn't hear. Derek, sensing the heaviness in the air, suggested gently, why don't I take Jake out for a minute? We can grab a snack or something while you both talk. Good idea, Mike replied, his eyes never leaving Jake as he scribbled down the number of candy bars he wanted. Just don't take too long, okay? Jake nodded, still clutching his bag of enthusiasm, but confusion flickered across his face. As Derek led him from the room, Mike felt the walls closing in. He turned back to Claire, who remained composed yet concerned. What is this all about? Mike asked, his voice trembling on the edge of fear. I got a call from a former teacher of Jake's. Claire began, her voice gentle yet firm. It seems there's been something important he hasn't shared. Something that might change everything for him. Change everything? Mike echoed, feeling panic rise in his chest. What could it possibly mean? Claire took a breath, her gaze steady. Jake has a gift. One that could help not just him but others around him. But he needs support to navigate it. If we don't address it now, he might struggle later. Visions of Jake, vulnerable and unsure, pierced Mike's heart. What do you mean? What kind of gift? Before she answered, a flash of movement caught Mike's eye. He turned just in time to see Jake and Derek entering the room again. Smiles on their faces, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. As he faced Claire, she locked eyes with him, and he instantly sensed the weight of her words. They were urgent, necessary, but potentially shattering. Mike, she said softly, the air thick with unspoken fears, I think we need to discuss Jake's future. Right now. And just like that, the room seemed to close in around them, leaving Mike bracing for revelations that could change everything. Would Jake be ready for the high-stakes revelations waiting just outside the door? Mike felt the intensity of Claire's gaze. Every word steeped in gravity. It was as if she held Jake's future in her hands, a future Mike had imagined, in very different terms. The laughter that echoed from Derek and Jake faded into the backdrop as he tried to understand what this gift might be. What kind of gift are you talking about? He pressed, his voice a tense whisper. Claire took a step closer, her voice unfurling like a soft breeze through a storm. Jake has a unique ability, something special. It might not be obvious, but he has a certain sensitivity to those around him and empathy that's beyond what most people feel. It allows him to connect with others in ways that can be transformational. Mike's mind raced. He could picture Jake fiercely loyal to his friends, but could that really be a gift? He fought back confusion and doubt. But how does that change anything? Claire continued, her voice soothing yet firm. It means he feels everything deeper, Mike. Other kids may not understand what it's like to carry that weight, and without guidance it could overwhelm him. A chill ran down his spine. Mike thought about all those times Jake had come home from school, troubled by someone else's hurt. How many moments had he brushed aside? Suddenly, the fear of neglecting Jake's needs became a reality that hit him like a cold wave. Mike stammered, struggling to find the right words. I don't want him to suffer. I just want him to be happy. Claire nodded, understanding etched in her features. That's the first step. But we need to ensure he knows how to manage it, to see it as a strength rather than a burden. Mike's heart sank. And what if he doesn't want that? What if he wants to be like everyone else? Just normal? Normal is overrated, Claire said. A reassuring smile breaking the tension. What makes him special is a tool he can use if he is open to it. It can help him, not only to understand himself but also to support those who struggle. The world needs people like him. Jake and Derek were returning, and Mike felt a rush of anxiety at the thought of shattering his son's innocence with unexpected truths. He glanced towards the door and then back at Claire. You're telling me this now when I have no time to prepare him for it. Claire's eyes softened. Yes, not alone in this. You will walk through this with him. That's what makes it a journey, not a burden. Just then Jake entered the room, eyes bright with curiosity after his snack run. The moment felt surreal. One part of Mike wanted to shield him from the looming conversation, while another part knew the truth needed to be spoken. Hey Dad, what is going on? Jake asked, his voice filled with genuine warmth. Just having a little chat, Mike managed, forcing a smile. He could hardly bear the weight of impending revelations but knew they were about to unravel. Claire lost the small smile and focused on Jake. Jake, I think you might have something we need to talk about, something important. The moment hung in the air, thick like molasses. Mike took a step forward, ready to defend his son, to cut in, but something grounded him. He didn't quite know what words to choose, how to lead Jake through this revelation, or if he even should. Could they talk about it as if it was just another day? Did Jake have the strength to face whatever this was? The room felt electric, charged with the uncharted possibilities ahead. Mike's heart pounded. Could Jake really handle this life-altering truth? As Jake looked back and forth between his father and Claire, Mike realized he had to let go, if only for a moment. After all, their journey was just beginning. What do you need to say? Jake asked, voice steady, and the path ahead narrowed down to this pivotal moment. Could they embrace this together? Would Jake be strong enough to step into a new light? Claire took a breath, her eyes scanning Jake's eager face, and then turned to Mike with an encouraging nod. Jake, what I want to talk about is your ability to connect with others. You have a unique sensitivity that lets you see and feel things others might miss. It's an amazing gift. Jake's brows furrowed in confusion. A gift? But it feels heavy sometimes. Mike felt a rush of protectiveness. He didn't want his son to feel like he had to carry the world on his shoulders. What does she mean, Jake? Claire interjected, sensing Mike's tension. It means you have a chance to see the beauty and pain in people, and with that comes the opportunity to help them, too. She's not lying, Dad, Jake interjected, an earnest look on his face. It's why I stood up for that kid. I just felt he paused. I didn't want him to feel alone. Mike swallowed hard, admiration flooding through him. You're strong, Jake. You truly are. Claire smiled, adding, with strength comes responsibility. We can help you understand how to manage that sensitivity so it doesn't overwhelm you. Jake's face softened, a spark of realization dawning over him. You mean I'm not weird? I can actually do something good? Exactly. Claire beamed. There are many kids out there just like you. They need someone who understands. Mike finally relaxed a little. Claire's words wove hope into the fabric of their current reality. So what do we do now? He asked, curious about the path ahead. Jake needs to explore this gift, learn how to harness it, Claire explained. Together we can create a safe space to talk and grow. And when he feels strong enough, he can mentor others. Mentor? Me? Jake looked torn yet excited. What if they make fun of me? They could, Claire said gently, but you have the strength to stand tall, just like you did before. And if they do, you will know we are here for you, supporting you through everything. Mike leaned in, a fiery determination igniting inside him. We'll face any challenges together, remember? It's about building each other up, not tearing each other down. Jake blinked, the tension in his face giving way to a small smile. Okay, I want to try. That's the spirit, Claire replied. And remember, every great journey starts with a leap of faith. At that moment, Mike felt a warmth wash over him. His son was ready to step into the unknown, ready to embrace who he really was. Together we can change the narrative, Mike declared, holding his son's gaze. You inspire me, Jake. Tears of joy glistened in Jake's eyes, but this time they were filled with hope. I want to make a difference. And you will, Mike affirmed, pride swelling in his heart. As they wrapped up the meeting, Mike felt lighter, like the fog that had clouded his mind had finally begun to lift. They left the community center, stepping into a hopeful afternoon. Dad, do you think I can really help kids who feel like I do? Jake asked, an eagerness in his voice. More than you know, he replied firmly, feeling every cheer of support encircling them. Jake nodded, the shadows of doubt gradually fading into the light of expectation. As they walked away, Mike couldn't help but notice the cyclists passing by, the wind tousling their hair as laughter erupted from nearby kids. Everything around them felt bright, alive. Tomorrow may hold its challenges, but Mike had faith in Jake. This was their adventure, and together they would make a real difference. And as their bond deepened, Mike knew one thing for certain. They were a team forever intertwined, embracing every moment of life together, fearlessly. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions. You deserve to share your feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the hope and unity together.